Some plants grow in completely different ways. This is one of the evergreen foliage forms of Veronica, and you can see it's got lovely whorls of separate bits of plant. And if you really wanted to, you could split every single one of these up and it would make a plant. But that's not always what you want, because that would then just be a small bit of foliage and one single flower stem, and you don't want that. So again, tip out of the pot, have a look and see what sort of growth you've got there. Again, there's a massive root. That's not root bound. That is perfectly good amount of root for putting into the ground. You then take the base off, so that's your bit of root pruning that you've done there. Then you could look at this and you could go, right, what do I want to do? Do I want to actually have this plant as one big one? Do I want to have 4? So you would cut it into 4 nice even sections like so. Or am I going to take some smaller bits so that I can actually produce some? So probably the best thing to do is go for a cut in half to start off with and make this nice piece here, taking sides off because you don't need that excess there, and then going straight through the center here, which is a really easy way of splitting it down. And then those are 2 really nice bits of plant material that can go in the ground or they can go in a pot. You've reduced the root and height so it will fit back into a pot really nicely, giving it plenty of compost and food around there for it to regrow. Now, I did mention the fact that you can split these and you can go even smaller. So a plant like this, if you're wanting to propagate, they're more so, because whenever you lift a plant and you split it up and you make more than one, you're actually doing propagation. This is where people get confused. Propagation is not that difficult, and quite a lot of people have been doing propagating all their years and they don't think they have, by lifting and splitting plants. So those are bigger pieces. This one we probably want to keep a bit to go back into the container like that, so we'll take off, it looks as though it's going to come down here and split off there really, really nicely, leaving a nice reasonable sized piece for going back into the container. So that is our bit that's going back in the container with its nice bit of root pruning, nice central piece. Plant it in the center of the pot like there, plenty of room for it to grow and multiply within that container. Then what are we going to do with this pieces? Well, this is quite nice, because what happens is the soil, compost, whatever it is in, will break off really nicely, and then you are left with these lovely little pieces like this, which have got really great roots on them already. So look at the amount of root that there is on this plant. Okay, so there's lovely stem growth, there's the top there, and then there's all of this root. What you can do is, just to make it neat and tidy, is give it a little trim. One little plantlet there. Then you can just gradually just pull these, take the dead leaves off. It always helps when you're doing this sort of propagating. Take the dead leaves off and then just give them a little bit of a root prune and they will keep going. From this little piece here, you're going to make about 6 plants, and it's really quite easy to just rubble it around and pull it apart, and you will see that you've got some excellent bits. So there's another one. This actually 2 pieces there, and again it's just a little bit of a tip at the bottom. One more piece here. Now this has got a lot more going for it, because this has not only got your piece of growth here, it's got some more coming off the side as well. So I would leave it as a nice piece like that. And then the last one, oh no, there was one more as well. These are all fine, little bit of a root prune, and there we go. So out of that little bit that I had, we have ended up with 1, 2 really nice, quite big pieces, and 4 smaller pieces. These can go straight into a reasonable size pot, 4-inch, 9-centimetre pot. These can also go into that if you want to. They'd probably get away, no problem at all. Or you could go for a slightly smaller 7-centimetre pot, and that would work really nicely. And out of that plant then you have got 3 reasonable sized pieces, plus you've got the little tiny pieces for propagating on, which will give you more plants. And if you're somebody who's doing plants for charity, say, then you can do this with plants that don't have a PBR on them. But just do little splits and that'll be absolutely fine. So that's a little Veronica, and that's how to get those produced and giving you a lot more plants to have and around. And then, or as I say, you don't have to sell them for charity or something. You can donate them to the school or to your neighbours and say, here, have some plants. I have no problem with that. It's one good thing with gardening that you can do that.